Hello and welcome to this tutorial for the board game Feed the Kraken. In this game, all the players are secretly a part of a group. The sailors, or the pirates, or the cultists. And each group has their own goal to win the game. I'll be explaining how to play your very first game. If you've played it a few times and you're with at least 7 people, then you can use the other side of this board, which is more complicated and has some extra rules. Here's how it goes. You are going to play until one group does what is needed to win the game. Then the game is over and every player who is in that group is a winner, even the players who were eliminated during the game. The sailors win when the ship reaches the blue harbor on the right. The pirates win the game when the ship reaches the red harbor on the left. And the cultists win the game if the ship reaches the top middle, or when the player who is the cult leader gets fed to the Kraken on one of these spaces. If either of these things happen during the game, it immediately ends and one group is the winner. Each player will know which group they belong to because everyone got a card during the setup. Make sure you don't show it to anyone, it's a secret. Next, how do you play the game? In this game, you do not go around the table taking turns. You're all playing it together at the same time. You play the game in 4 steps. Step 1. The player who is the captain picks 2 players for deciding which way to go with the ship. Step 2. Everyone at the table gets to vote if they want to keep the captain or someone else be the captain. Step 3. When everyone is happy with whoever is the captain, it's time to pick a direction to sail to. Step 4. Get things ready for the next round. Let's go through those again. Step 1. One player at the table will be the captain. It's either the person who became the captain during the setup or someone who later became the captain. Either way, whoever has this box is the captain. The captain gets to choose one player who will help pick cards that determine where the ship goes. That player gets this lieutenant badge. And the captain chooses a different player who makes the final decision on which card is going to be the one that will be used to move the ship. That player gets this navigator badge. Step 2. Now that the captain has chosen 2 people to help him or her, everyone at the table gets to vote on whether or not they want this player to actually be the captain. Maybe you don't trust that person, or maybe you have a feeling that the captain is not in the same group as you. Anyway, every player takes all the guns that they had in front of them in their own area and hides them. Then, every player puts some guns in their hand to vote against the captain. You can use any number of guns from 0 up to 3. So, no guns, 1 gun, 2 guns, or 3 guns. It's up to you. Only the captain doesn't get to vote, of course. When every player has made a choice, everyone holds out their fist. And when everyone has their fist out, you open your hand and reveal how many guns you used to vote against the captain. Count up all the guns. The information card on the table tells you how many guns are needed, at least, to remove the captain. This card says 3, so if there are at least 3 guns in total, the captain has to step down as the leader. If there were not enough guns to remove the captain, then everyone gets their guns back and you move on to step 3. But If there were enough guns, then everyone has to discard the guns they used, and the player who spent the most guns gets to be the new captain. And then you go back to step number 1. You start over. At some point you eventually get to step 3. Picking cards for moving the ship. That goes like this. It's a bit of a process. The captain takes 2 cards from this deck, and the lieutenant takes 2 cards from this deck. They both secretly choose 1 card to use. That one goes face down in this box. And the one they didn't pick goes face down on the discard pile. So there will be 2 cards in this box. Make sure you really don't know who picked what, so give this box a really good shake, and then the player who is the navigator opens the box and secretly chooses 1 card to use. The other one goes face down on the discard pile, the chosen card goes back into the box, and the box goes back to the captain. During all of this, no one is allowed to speak, and all the players who have to choose cards have to make deliberate choices. You can't just shuffle the cards and pick one randomly. After all that, you finally have a card to use. The captain opens the box and shows the card to everyone, and then places it open in their own area. The first thing you do is move the ship. If the ship lands on the tile, you must do that action. I'll get to that later. And you end all of this by looking at the icon that is on the card itself in front of the captain and do whatever it says. The meaning of each card icon is explained on the inside of the box. So this was the chosen card. That means the ship goes 1 space in this direction. There is no tile here, so we skip that part. And we end it by looking at this icon on the card and do whatever it says. Done. That was step 3. One important detail about this: the player who is the navigator is always allowed to say they refuse to make a choice. In that case, both cards go back into the box and the navigator jumps off the ship and is out of the game. Moving on. Step 4. The end of each round. If any players have this off-duty sign in front of them, they go to the player or players who were just involved in choosing cards. The rulebook will tell you how many of these signs you use and who gets one. Here's the overview. The 2 badges go back to the captain, and you're ready for the next round. The captain picks 2 players. The group decides if they want to keep the captain by maybe spending guns. If everyone is happy with the captain, 3 players pick cards and decide where the ship goes. The ship moves, and that results in at least 1 additional thing happening. And you end it by passing on these signs. And that's it. This is how you play Feed the Kraken. So, now time for some details before you're fully ready to give it your first try. Every player has their own character card. At any point during the game, you can reveal your character and do whatever special thing it can do. But then it stays face up, and as long as it's like that, you can't use it again. As I've said, you always end the navigation phase by looking at the icon on the card and doing whatever it says. It's possible that it's going to be this icon with the tentacle. If that's on the card, the captain picks one of these cards that showed the same tentacle icon. The rulebook will easily explain what they do. There are only 3 types of cards, but I wanted to explain one of them. Whenever this card is drawn with the fist on it, then one player is going to be converted into a cultist. Everyone closes their eyes and holds out their hand. The player who is the cult leader opens her or his eyes and picks one player. The cult leader touches the hand of that player to let them know they are no longer a sailor or a pirate, but they are a part of the cult. And then everyone opens their eyes again. The last detail, and then we're done. As I've said, it's possible for the ship to land on a space where there's a tile. Then you have to immediately do what it says on the tile. If it shows the Kraken, this one, then the captain has to choose one player to be thrown off the ship. That player is out of the game. If that player happens to be the cult leader, the cultists immediately win the game, because they have 2 ways of winning the game instead of 1. Or, if the tile that the ship lands on shows this spyglass icon, then the captain can do a cabin search. The captain picks one player, everyone else closes their eyes, and the captain takes a look at that player's card to see which group they belong to. If that player happens to have been converted to a cultist, that player has to gesture this to the captain by holding up that cultist fist that you see on the card. And after that, everyone can open their eyes again and resume the game. Alright, that's how you play your first game of Feed the Kraken. Next time you play it and there are enough people, you can go for a more advanced game which will give you more options. But for now, this is it. I hope you feel like you understand how it goes and that you'll have fun with it. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment and see you for the next one.